Hello, my name is Kuri. Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. Today, when I woke up, I had a few ideas of what I was going to talk about. And considering that there's so much that I want to share, sometimes I get sort of like a brain fog because it's almost like there's so much to share that I end up having like nearly like a writer's block type of thing. So a writer's block is when a writer just gets to that point where they know that they've got so much, they want to write something, but they end up not being able to write anything. And basically, there's quite a few things that I want to share. A lot of it coming from the book I'm reading right now, which is by Lewis Howe, which is The Masks of Masculinity. It's opening up so much in terms of what it is to be a man, and it's opening me up as well as a man, that there's so many things that I've got that's been prescribed into my life in terms of what a man is supposed to be, and it's all these things that are masks that stop us from actually living a true life by design. You know, you have dreams when you are younger of achieving greatness and doing all these things, and some of it is stuff that we end up using to mask our true identity or our true selves, because we want to live by the way that everybody else has told us to live. So it's something that is absolutely incredible. But at the same time, there's also things in my own personal life that I think I could share that could be beneficial to many men. And as I'm getting towards my 9th year of marriage, an anniversary, so my anniversary is on Thursday. Today, I was reflecting on where our marriage is, and it's been one of those things that has been the most amazing gift in my life. And even though it's amazing, she's an amazing woman. We've got 2 kids, and that's amazing as well. I'm looking back and looking at myself as a husband and as a dad, and when I audit my performance, I feel like I've not given everything that I can, and I've not been able to be present for my children. I've not been present for my wife either. And a lot of it is to do with some of the masks that I'm beginning to see, that there's a lot of things that I've found ways of trying to avoid to being present. And part of it is the reason why I had an issue this year where over a long period of time I'd been talking to different girls and stuff, and then I ended up cheating on my wife. And it wasn't the case that I went out and slept with her, but it was the fact that we were planning to do something that was not good. I'm struggling to say this because it's something that is quite embarrassing, but I feel like it's important for me to share, especially when I'm coming down to this, because when we audit our relationships or with our partners and everything else, it comes down to something that I read recently where it says a well-sexed artist finishes his painting. And basically what it means that I was unable to focus on the important things in terms of our relationship and everything else, which means that she didn't feel fulfilled when we had sex, so which means that she was disconnected with that. And because I was disconnected, I started spending more and more time looking for affection from somebody else. And the more I started looking for more affection from somebody else, the more we got disconnected. So the desire for having sex increased, but now it wasn't desire to have sex with just her, but it was now just with anyone to be able to connect. And it's such a horrible cycle, because it reminds me of a story of this African farmer who started hearing stories about people getting diamonds all around the area where he lived in Africa, and people were picking up massive diamonds and they were instantly getting rich overnight. And he got fascinated and thought, you know what, I'm going to sell my farm and go and try and find these riches that have been everybody's receiving. So he decided to sell his farm, and then he started going to look for these riches by finding these diamond mines. And he started going all around Africa, and he could not get that riches that he wanted. And the guy who bought his farm, one morning he woke up and his kid came with the biggest rock. And when they looked at it, it was the biggest diamond that they've ever seen. And he didn't realize it, but when he got people to actually look at it, they realized that there was the biggest diamond mine in his back garden. So what that story is being said is that sometimes the gel, the thing that you really want the most is right there. And my wife is an incredible woman. And if I spend more time, investing more time in terms of investing more time in her and in our relationship, I think would be in the same wavelength. So whether it's just connecting in terms of a deeper connection, in terms of sexually and everything else that you would experience as a relationship, or those things that I desire in a relationship, she would be available if I spent enough time. But then I don't. So it's one of those things that I take the blame, because part of it is just me, that I've not been available. And I know this is a struggle for many men, that we are in a culture where everything is instant. So, when I say investment, there's times when you get so embarrassing. You watch porn, you masturbate, you do all these things, which I think in relationship is healthy if it's done in a way that is, not obsessive. It's not gonna get you addicted or whatever. But there is that sort of instant love type thing where even when I'm now trying to connect with my wife, it's almost like a instant thing. I need to do it quick and stuff like that. So it's things that I've been thinking about and reflecting and thinking. These 9 years have been amazing for both of us. And this is me giving, I would imagine if I had to put it a percentage, I was probably giving 50% or maybe less. What would it be like for the rest of our life if I gave 100%? If I invested time in that. When I'm at home, I am actually thinking of being romantic. I'm thinking of putting her first. I'm showing her gratitude for everything that she does for us. I'm appreciating every single moment, and I'm giving her everything that I can. And part of it is the fact that, like the book says about the masculine masculinity, that there's so many things that I've hidden from her in terms of my true feelings and everything else. And that's been a lot of the cause of my own relationships. So in the past, when things got to a point where I needed to share and be vulnerable, I escaped. So, it's one of those things that I'm now working towards. And I know that me having the ability to be vulnerable gives me an opportunity to be able to connect with her in a much deeper way. So that being said, I felt like I needed to say this. I was actually quite scared to share this one, because from what Lewis said as well, is that when you feel scared and vulnerable to share something, probably it's something that is important. And I hope this is important for you guys. And if you like this sort of content and you want to learn more about this, join the Men of Honor Facebook group. This is where we're going to be giving you conversations like this. I'll be sharing, I'm sharing my conversation, but hopefully this is helpful for you, because when you can connect with the wife in a deeper way, it really helps you to start trying to live your life by design. And when you live your life by design, then it will allow you to have a life of complete freedom. And I'm looking to get freedom in this respect, and that I should not feel friction in my relationship with my wife, that having no friction is one of the steps of living a life of complete freedom. So I think in terms of going forward, we're going to continue digging deeper in different aspects. And it's not all going to be intense podcast episodes like this. It's going to just be featuring different parts of my life. And this today, I'm be sharing about my marriage. I might share about my business. I might share about my career. I might share about different things. And hopefully, I'll be getting some guests as well who will be sharing part of their lives. And hopefully, we can get you guys to join Men of Honor group so you can get encouraged so we can live this life by design. So thank you very much for listening. And for ladies that are listening to this, can you please share this with a friend or somebody, a man that you know that really needs this kind of information? And if you can, please encourage them to join the Men of Honor Facebook group. And thank you very much for listening. My name is Corey, one of the content creators for Men of Honor. Thank you very much. Take care. Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. My name is Corey, your host, and today we're going to be talking about outcome dependency. This is something that I learned the hardest way. In fact, I remember the first time I came across this, it was when I was a lot younger, and I was a PUA, which means a pickup artist, and it was just in the infancy. I was learning, and one part of the things that when we were learning from forums. So anybody who's come from that era, forums have been replaced by Facebook groups and stuff like that. So back in the day, we had forums, and I'll go to the forum, and then you'd be learning these different skills. And initially, when we now try some of these skills, you'd have this outcome that you wanted. So for instance, I would want to have as many numbers as possible, or I would like to have a kiss with a girl or something in the club. And because I had that outcome in mind, I would put so much pressure on myself to try and get that outcome. And I would find that, especially in the infancy of me learning the pickup skills, I would go into the club and then be so crippled by the outcome dependency that I would want this to happen, but then I would go there, and then because I really, really want it so bad, I'll be either first I would disqualify myself from people that I assumed were too pretty for me, so there would not be, I would never get that outcome because I think she's too pretty, so there's no way she's going to like me, so let me look for an easier target. So I would then scan the room and try and find the easier target, and then if I look at somebody that I assumed was the easier target, they might have friends around them. I'll say, I cannot go and speak to that one because she's got friends around her. So maybe I need to find that one that is by herself. And it was quite naive because there's never a time a woman goes out by herself, and there's never a time a woman would just go out and then by herself and then be giving out a number or kissing or whatever, because there's so much of that conditioning that they have to protect themselves, especially in an environment that is a club. So that was that. I didn't even know that. Well, I didn't even think about that. All I wanted was the outcome, and because of that outcome, I found myself disqualifying myself from a lot of things, and I never had any success. And at the time, I started going out with one of my friends who was, his name is Leon. And at the time, to put it into context, I was playing rugby and I played football at least twice a day. So I was pretty trimmed, six-pack, fit. And at the time also, I was working. So I had a bit of money in terms of so I had good fashion sense, I would imagine, at the time. And I had my friend Leon. It didn't work, and he pretty much wore the same T-shirt every time we went out, and he was chubby and everything else. And I remember the time when we were learning this, he started getting some success, and when success at that point we just defined as getting numbers, and you'd get kisses and stuff like that. And I thought I was much better looking, and I think he would admit that I was much better looking than he was, but I was not getting any of that success at all. And I tried to dissect what it was that was the difference in terms of me and Leon with our success. And I started trying to break it down. I thought maybe it was the fashion, with the clothes that I was wearing. So I started, trying to buy the more trendy things. So I was looking through, places like Top Men, and I'll see the fashion trends and see what everybody else was wearing and try and model that. And then I tried that, and that really didn't get me far. And then I tried. Then I started looking at his body language. So I started to try and model his body language. I tried to. I started listening to what he was saying when he was speaking to the ladies, and then I started trying to model the same thing. So I would say the same things, and I would every time I tried to do stuff, I would get the same result. Like, I would not get anywhere. So I even thought it was maybe just my voice tone. So I worked on that. I just worked on so many things. And I thought at this point I should be having success. I've tried everything. It seems like he's just gliding through. And it wasn't until one day we were just sitting on in the pub garden, and we were talking, and this is in the infancy of YouTube. So we started watching these Japanese videos, the prank videos, and we were just in stitches. We're laughing and we're having fun. But because we're having fun, some of the girls that were there were some girls that were drinking on the other side. They got interested in what we were laughing at, and they decided to invite themselves over onto our table. And because we were already in that good state, and we're not in that mindset of looking to be, dating or asking somebody out, we were just having fun. And when we're having fun, all of a sudden I found that I was having a good conversation with the lady. She was interested, she seemed attracted, and everything like that. And then I end up getting a number, and eventually, again, on that same day, managed to kiss her. And I thought, oh my God, what has just happened? How come so I started breaking down the interaction, and I realized that there was something about us watching that those Japanese videos that made things go perfect. So we end up having a going out routine, which involved us actually going through this sort of pre going out ritual where we would watch funny videos so we can get into a state. But we thought that was the thing. But eventually we discovered that day, the fact that we did not have an outcome, we had no intentions whatsoever to go out and get numbers and kisses. That was the thing that turned the key for me. When I realized that, I started working towards always taking out that outcome dependency on every interaction. Because the person that stops you from winning at any point in anything is the fact that we end up wanting, we put so much emphasis in getting the outcome that we don't glide through. So, I mean, at this point, I'm trying to put this point across, but the best way I can actually put this point across is that I play golf, and the times when I hit the best shots and I play the best game is when I'm not thinking about it. The moment I'm really thinking about it, so for instance, if I'm playing good shots, and then I hit a bad shot, and then I let that bad shot affect me, so I start thinking about, I really need to correct that bad shot. I start hitting a bad shot. So somebody who plays golf will identify with this. Same thing when I play cricket. If I got in to bat and I had a end target. So if I say today I need to make 100 runs, or I need to make 50 runs, or I need to make a certain amount of runs, the moment I decided that's what I wanted, then I became stiff and I would come out for duck. But when I go and say I want to support my other batsmen, or I just want to make singles, or I just want to be relaxed and just work it step by step, then I would have a better success. And I find this with my business that the last few months, I realized that I started having an outcome dependency, and it's only the last few days I've realized that this is exactly what has happened. I started going on Instagram Live, and I was really giving out some amazing content. But I think because I had such an outcome dependency, that started giving off something through my videos. So even though I was giving off gold I was not getting the same interactions as possible. In fact, that I wanted an outcome. One of my mentors, digital mentors, called Russell Brunson, he talks about that you have to continue publishing until you become relevant. So I ended up giving up publishing anyway. So after about 2 or 3 weeks of just publishing every single day, I just stopped. So, and that was the worst thing I could have done. So again, like with this podcast, I'm doing this every day. I'm documenting my journey. And today, the key thing is to not have an outcome dependency. Being able to release that within your life is amazing, because it works in every area of my life, including even with my wife. So whenever I have an expectation, if I go in with an expectation for sex, for instance, and I put that social pressure on her, she just repels it, because it's just it's me wanting to take. And when the key thing of releasing the outcome dependency is definitely being collaborative. So when you collaborate with so for instance, if it was my wife, if I collaborate, sorry guys, if we collaborate in terms of I show her interest and I give her space so she can show interest, then it snowballs from there. In terms of business, it's the same thing, that if I'm looking to just help somebody rather than me have an outcome of getting money from them, then there's a snowball effect. The fact that I'm helping them, then they will naturally want to ascend to doing business with me. Also, with anything in life that you are trying to invest, there should be some sort of collaborative, and your initial thing should be to provide that thing in a way that is not you wanting to take something, but you wanting to input. Because whenever you can invest, actually, it's probably the best word. If you can invest, the thing. So, for instance, even taking it back to golf, if I focus on just having a good feeling through the swing, then everything will work out on itself. The moment I start thinking of that I want to have a hole in one and everything else, it just throws off my game. And it's with anything in life. I think if you notice, there's this thing where people can identify with this one, actually, is that there's people that are already rich, but somebody who's already rich, you hear them that they've managed to get even more money, they've even managed to get a bigger contract. And it's one of those things that, because they're not chasing for an outcome, things just start falling into place. And this principle has been a difficult one to learn, and it's one that you have to keep in check, because there's sometimes when you are in complete release, you release and you've got no outcome dependency, but all of a sudden something might happen, and then you start. So it's again the analogy of golf, that there's 18 holes. By the time I get to the 7th hole, my game is going well, and then I hit one bad shot on the 7th, for instance, and then it will ruin the rest of my game, because I'm now in my head, I'm now overthinking things. And I think with any of the great people that I've followed in terms of people that have mastered their craft, so people like Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, brother. He talked about that the half of the 70% of becoming great is actually you getting out of the way. If you got out of the way, then everything sort of falls into place. It's one of those things. And for all the people that I've studied who have done great things, that's the main thing that they talk about, that it's people getting into the way. If you get into the way of trying to force the result, it always goes in a bad way. But when you work, like again we said, collaborate, then you get a better outcome. So I hope this is helpful to somebody, and this covers a lot of aspects of our lives that you have to be. And I think before I conclude this, there's a difference between desire and wanting to have an outcome. So it's okay to desire big things, but as this desire, the best way to look at desire is a vision. So you define a vision. So, for instance, I want to make £1,000,000 this year. That's a desire, and then you just now focus on what's the thing that will help me to get there. So if it's that it's through business, then you focus on helping those people that would potentially be your customers. And don't seek out the money first. Seek out how can you help that person, because really is demonstrate when you can demonstrate that you can solve a problem for somebody who can potentially give you that $1,000,000, then they will most likely give you that $1,000,000. But if I come and say, okay, give me $1,000,000 and then I'll do this thing for you, they might not trust you because it's too much money or whatever. But if I can start demonstrating that I can help them, then it builds trust, and then it's like a snowball effect. So it's getting that focus. This episode is something that I'm going to revisit over and over again, and I might say it in a different way. Today was my first time talking about this. I've structured it in a way that I felt would be good to get the message out, but I think I can structure it a bit different, and I will revisit this again, and hopefully you've learned something from this, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. If you like this sort of information, go and join the Men of Honor Facebook group. Is where we support men on relationships, business, and help you to live your life by design so you can have complete freedom. So thank you very much for listening. And if there's any ladies that are listening to this, unfortunately you won't be allowed to go get onto the Facebook group. But if you've got anybody that you know that will be beneficial, will find benefit from this information, please just direct them to the Men of Honor Facebook group. And thank you very much for listening. Take care.